Listen up, family. Tonight is not just another session. Tonight is the night that decides everything. The Asian markets are about to light up. Shanghai futures, Hong Kong, Tokyo, they open first while the West sleeps. And whatever happens in those first few hours, it sets the tone for gold, silver, crypto, equities, everything. This isn't hype. This isn't speculation. This is macro reality staring us in the face. Right now, the world is watching liquidity, debt signals, yield moves, and industrial demand. Silver's been coiling like a spring. Most people still think the real move already happened. Gold's flirting with records, but the smart money knows the next leg higher starts with what Asia does tonight. If Shanghai holds key levels, if Hong Kong pushes through resistance, if Tokyo shows no fear, that tells you the bulls are loading up quietly while the crowd debates headlines. But if they crack, if selling pressure bleeds over from crypto risk-off, then we get the flush the weak hands have been waiting for, and the strong hands get to buy cheaper. This is where discipline separates winners from watchers. Don't sleep on this open. Don't scroll past it thinking tomorrow's another day. Tonight decides momentum, direction, and who gets positioned before the herd wakes up Monday. So, eyes open, charts ready, mindset locked in. Here's exactly what to watch. Key support, resistance on Shanghai silver, Hong Kong HSI reaction, yen moves, Bitcoin overnight action, and any surprise volume spikes. These levels matter more than news right now. This is your edge. Stay sharp, stay patient, stay in the game. Because the Asian opening tonight, it decides everything. Let's go. Drop in the comments what level you're watching closest tonight. We ride this together. Tonight's Asian Open sets the directional tone for gold, silver, crypto, and equities. Everything rides on the first 4 hours. Listen up, family. This isn't just another quiet Sunday night rollover. When those Asian markets flip the switch, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Tokyo, Singapore, the liquidity floodgates open first while the rest of the world is still in weekend mode. Those initial candles, those first volume spikes, that early order flow, they dictate momentum for the next 24-48 hours, sometimes the whole week. Gold at these levels around 4,900 to 5,000. Silver coiling after wild swings from 70s to over $110 in premiums in Shanghai. Bitcoin hovering post its dips below 87K. Equities waiting for risk cues. The Asian session is the macro compass right now. Why so critical? Asia drives real physical demand, especially for precious metals. China's been the elephant in the room. Shanghai Silver Exchange premiums exploding, hitting records like 111 plus when COMEX was lagging, signaling aggressive bidding from institutions and retail that Western paper markets can't ignore. Hong Kong HSI often telegraphs broader risk appetite. If it gaps up on tech or EV strength, that spills into crypto and commodities as risk-on confirmation. Tokyo's yen moves are the wild card. Any carry trade tension, any sudden yen strength from BOJ signals or global flows unwinding low-yield positions, and it cascades. Risk-off hits, equities hard, Bitcoin bleeds, gold, just silver. See safe haven bids or liquidation pressure depending on the trigger. The first 4 hours are make or break because volume is thin globally but concentrated in Asia. Early breakouts or breakdowns get amplified. Algos pile in, stops get triggered, momentum traders front run before London even stirs. If Shanghai silver futures hold key support, watch those physical premium divergences. If Shanghai stays bid while COMEX softens, bulls are loading quietly for the next leg. If Hong Kong pushes resistance on Hang Seng or tech sub-index, it's green light for equities and crypto correlation. Crack those levels early, weak hands flush out fast, margin calls ripple, Bitcoin overnight action turns ugly. Gold tests lower floors like 4,900 or below before any rebound. This sets the tone because Asia leads sentiment into Europe and then New York. Liquidity from Chinese players, Japanese exporters, Korean funds, it all hits first. Miss the direction here, and you're chasing or getting trapped. Position sizing, stops, patience. The edge lives in reading this open correctly. No fluff. Watch the charts live, track volume, eye those yen crosses for carry unwind hints. Monitor Bitcoin's overnight flow for risk proxy. Everything. Gold's next push toward 5,100 plus forecasts or pullback. Silver's volatility toward 90 pull or flush to 70s. Crypto's correlation to equities, broad market risk appetite, rides on how Asia behaves in those opening hours. Discipline is everything tonight. No FOMO entries on headlines. No revenge trades if it gaps against you. The smart money is already positioned or waiting for confirmation in these candles. The crowd sleeps or scrolls. Winners watch, analyze, act with precision. This session decides if we ride momentum higher or get the flush that resets weak hands for better entries. Eyes glued, mindset locked, no distractions. The Asian Open tonight isn't optional viewing. It's the moment that decides directional bias for gold, silver, crypto, equities. Everything rides on it. Stay sharp. Watch Shanghai Silver Futures and Hong Kong HSI for the real liquidity signal. If they hold support, bulls load quietly, crack, and we flush weak hands. Family, zoom in tight. This is where the truth shows up first, raw and unfiltered. Shanghai Silver Futures are the beating heart of real demand right now. Forget the sanitized COMEX charts for a minute. Shanghai's exchange reflects actual physical metal flow, industrial bids, retail stacking, and institutional accumulation out of the planet's largest silver consumer. Premiums have gone parabolic, hitting 100 plus, 110 plus as over spot at peaks, while Western paper markets yawned. That disconnect isn't random. It's a screaming signal that Asia is hoarding, hedging, preparing. Tonight, the futures contract is your direct line to that pulse. Watch those key support zones religiously. Recent swing lows, volume profile shelves, psychological levels. If price dips but bounces hard, bids stacking on the tape, volume holding, or increasing on pullbacks, no cascading sells, that means liquidity is there. The big hands are defending, absorbing supply without letting it break. They're loading quietly, building positions under the radar, while the crowd argues macro noise or scrolls headlines. That quiet accumulation sets up the next explosive leg. Silver ripping through resistance, dragging gold higher as hedge demand confirms, often spilling into broader risk assets. Hong Kong HSI is your macro risk thermometer. Hang Seng captures China tech, property sentiment, policy impact, and Asian growth vibes in one index. Early session action here telegraphs whether capital is flowing into risk or fleeing to safety. If HSI holds or pushes through resistance, gapping up on open strong volume on up candles, no immediate rejection, that's your green light. Risk appetite alive, money rotating into equities, crypto correlation stays bid. Precious metals ride the wave as inflation, debasement plays. Bulls get confident, weak shorts cover, momentum builds before Europe wakes. But crack those levels decisively, break support with conviction, heavy volume on downside candles, failed retests, and the opposite unfolds. Risk-off sweeps in fast. Yen strengthens on carry unwind. Bitcoin bleeds as the ultimate risk proxy. Silver sees liquidation pressure, gold tests, lower floors temporarily before any rebound. The flush hits hard because thin liquidity amplifies moves. Stops trigger, margin calls ripple, weak hands capitulate. This combo, Shanghai Silver Holding plus HSI firm, is the real liquidity signal. It means Asia's deep pockets are in control, defending the bid, setting the tone for the global session. Bulls load quietly. Positions scale in on dips. Algos front-run the breakout. Volume builds stealthily. No fireworks yet, just steady, relentless pressure higher, waiting to unleash into London and New York. Everything aligns. Silver volatility spikes upward. Gold pushes record territory. Equities pre-open green. Crypto catches a bid. Reverse it. Shanghai cracks support. Premiums compress violently. HSI gaps down or fails resistance. And we flush. Weak longs get ejected. Over-leveraged retail, late entries, margin players forced out. Cascading stops create the dip. Bitcoin dumps overnight. Gold, josh silver. See short-term pain as safe haven rotation pauses. But that flush clears noise, shakes out froth. often delivers cleaner entries for the strong hands who waited. No fluff. Pull up the charts live. Shanghai silver. Track price versus key support. Watch volume delta. Eye any premium divergence from COMEX. Hong Kong HSI. Monitor pivot levels. Early candle structure. Gap behavior. Add yen crosses for carry hints. Overnight Bitcoin flow for risk confirmation. This isn't optional, it's the edge. The liquidity signal from these two decides if we grind higher with quiet accumulation or flush lower to reset weak hands. Eyes locked, no distractions, no emotional entries. Read the tape, respect the levels, position accordingly. Tonight's open reveals who's really driving. Bulls loading quietly, or weak hands getting flushed. Yen carry unwind. Pull overnight. Bitcoin action will telegraph risk appetite before Wall Street even wakes up. Family, pay close attention. This is the hidden telegraph wire that runs under the entire global risk complex. The yen carry trade is one of the most powerful, least understood forces moving markets right now. For years, traders borrowed cheap yen at near zero rates, converted to dollars or other high-yield currencies, and piled into risk assets, equities, crypto, commodities, emerging markets. That massive leverage created a one-way liquidity pump until it reverses. When the yen strengthens suddenly, BOJ hints at tightening, global risk-off triggers, flight to safety, or simply profit-taking hits. The carry unwinds fast. Yen rallies hard. Borrowers scramble to repay loans, selling everything they hold to cover. That selling pressure cascades, stocks drop, crypto tanks, gold and silver see temporary liquidation, even as safe haven bids try to fight back. Tonight, in the Asian session, this dynamic shows up first and clearest. Watch USD JPY like your edge depends on it, because it does. If the pair gaps down, yen stronger, breaks key support levels, recent lows around 145-148 zone or lower, or shows heavy volume on downside candles with no quick bounce, that's the warning siren. Carry unwind accelerating. Risk appetite evaporating before Europe opens. The telegraph is flashing red. Expect correlated selling across the board. Bitcoin, being the purest risk proxy, will bleed first and hardest. Often 5 to 10% overnight dumps when yen carry flips. Equities futures will soften, gold might dip as leverage positions get margined out. Silver volatility spikes downward before any rebound. The move starts in Asia because that's where the yen lives, where Japanese institutions, exporters, and hedge funds react instantly. Flip side, if USD JPY holds firm or pushes higher, yen weaker, carry trade stays intact or even extends. That's green light for risk on. Liquidity flows back in. Japanese funds rotate into global assets. Exporters hedge less aggressively. Leverage rebuilds. Bitcoin holds or grinds higher overnight, signaling confidence. Gold and silver catch a bid as inflation debasement plays ride the wave. The telegraph says bulls are still in control. Wall Street wakes up to pre-market green, momentum intact. Overnight Bitcoin action is the second half of this telegraph. Crypto never sleeps, 24/7 order flow, global participation, extreme sensitivity to risk sentiment. When carry unwind hits, Bitcoin dumps fast, liquidations cascade, funding rates flip negative, whales offload to cover fiat obligations. Watch BTC USD closely during Asian hours. Key support levels. Recent swing lows, volume profile POC, psychological round numbers like 85K, 80K, candle structure, long wicks down, rejection or absorption. Volume spikes on sells. If it holds, bids stack, rejection candles form, recovery quick. That means risk appetite resilient despite yen pressure. Carry unwind contained or short-lived. Bulls reloading. If it cracks decisively, breaks support with conviction, heavy volume, no retest, that's confirmation. Broader risk-off incoming. Equities will follow lower. Precious metals see flush before safe haven rotation kicks in later. Together, yen carry unwind signals. Plus Bitcoin overnight behavior give you the earliest, cleanest read on global risk appetite. No waiting for Wall Street open, no reacting to CNBC narratives. Asia telegraphs it live. Yen strength. plus Bitcoin weakness. Mayao, risk-off dominant, flush likely. Better entries for patient hands. Yen weakness or stable. Bia Bitcoin holding, Dayan grinding. Raum Bayam Bayraum, risk on intact, momentum continuation probable. No emotion, no guessing, just read the tape. Pull up USD JPY chart, track pivots, watch for breakouts or failures. Overlay Bitcoin live feed, I support, Chan resistance, volume delta, funding if available. Cross-reference with Shanghai, Hong Kong for confirmation. This combo moves before headlines catch up. It tells you whether tonight builds quiet accumulation or triggers the flush that resets weak positions. Discipline here separates frontrunners from chasers. The Telegraph is live right now. Yen and Bitcoin are speaking first. Listen closely. Position smart. Let the session reveal the bias. Position now or chase later. The smart money is already front-running Asia. Discipline beats emotion when the session decides momentum. Family, this is the cold, hard truth that separates consistent winners from the crowd that gets chopped up every cycle. The markets don't wait for your comfort zone. They don't pause for perfect setups or emotional clarity. Right now, as we approach the Asian Open, the smart money, those institutions, prop desks, high net worth accumulators, and disciplined retail who treat this like a business, is already positioned. They're not waiting for confirmation candles after the fact. They're front-running the liquidity signal, scaling in on dips during low-volume hours, defending key levels with limit orders, building delta before the herd even logs in. They know tonight decides the bias, whether we grind higher into fresh highs or flush to shake out over leveraged positions. And they're not gambling on hindsight. They're acting on edge. Front-running Asia means reading the Telegraph we just covered. Shanghai silver support, holds, HSI firm, yen stable or weaker, Bitcoin overnight resilient. When those align, smart money adds quietly, maybe partial entries on pullbacks to support. Scaling up as volume confirms absorption. No big splash entries that spike the book and alert everyone. Stealth accumulation. They're buying the fear the crowd feels from weekend headlines. Stacking while retail debates, is this the top or should I wait for Monday? By the time London opens and New York wakes, they're already green, riding momentum the rest chase. Chase later is the default for most. They wait for the obvious breakout. Price smashes resistance, volume explodes, headlines scream, new all-time high. Then FOMO in at the worst levels. Stops get run, reversals hit, and they're left holding bags while the early birds take profits. Chasing kills compounding. It turns small edges into losses because emotion overrides process. Discipline, on the other hand, is boring but brutal in its effectiveness. It means sizing appropriately tonight, even if it's small or partial, based on predefined levels. It means having stops set before the open, not after you're down 5%. It means walking away if the signal doesn't confirm, preserving capital for the next clean setup. No revenge, no doubling down on losers, no, this time it's different narratives. When the session decides momentum, emotion is your enemy. Greed pushes you to oversize on euphoria candles. Fear makes you freeze or cut winners too early. The smart money operates without emotion because they have a system, clear levels, risk parameters, position management rules. They front-run because they respect probability over certainty. They know Asia's first hours set the tone. Bullish continuation if liquidity holds, flush if it cracks, and they position asymmetrically. High reward to risk if right, defined and limited loss if wrong. That's the edge. Not predicting the future perfectly, but acting on high probability setups before the crowd piles in and dilutes the move. Look at history. Every major leg in gold from 2,000 to 5,000 plus. Silver's violent squeezes. Bitcoin's post-halving runs. Smart money was in, early, often during quiet Asian sessions when fear was high and volume thin. They didn't wait for Wall Street's green pre-market or CNBC confirmation. They read the tape, respected the levels, positioned, and let momentum do the work. Tonight is no different. The macro setup, debt saturation, currency debasement, industrial demand, carry dynamics, is still intact for higher prices long-term. But short-term direction? Decided in these hours. Front run it with discipline or chase it with regret. Pull up your platform now. Mark those levels. Shanghai silver support, HSI pivots, USD JPY resistance, Bitcoin key zones. Define your entry triggers. Size your risk, 1% max per trade or less. Set alerts. Prepare contingency plans. No scrolling socials for opinions. No waiting for one more candle. The session is coming. Smart money is already in motion. Quiet, calculated, positioned. You either join them with discipline or join the chasers later at worse prices. Momentum belongs to those who act first on the edge, not those who react last on emotion. Position smart. Stay cold. Let the open reveal who was right. My brothers and sisters in the markets, listen close, because tonight isn't just another open. Tonight is the fork in the road. The Asian session lights up in a few hours, and those first candles will write the script for gold, silver, Bitcoin, equities, everything for the coming days, maybe weeks. You've seen the telegraph. Shanghai silver holding or cracking. Hong Kong HSI showing risk appetite or fear. Yen carry staying calm or unwinding violently. Bitcoin overnight bleeding or grinding higher. These aren't random dots. They're the early warning system. They tell you whether smart money is loading quietly for the next leg up, or whether we're about to flush the weak hands and hand out better entries to the patient. This is where discipline meets destiny. The crowd will wake up Monday morning reacting to what already happened. The winner's position tonight, small, calculated, risk-defined, will ride the momentum while others chase tops or cut bottoms in panic. Front-run the signal with cold precision or chase later with regret. The choice is yours, but the clock is ticking. You don't need to be the loudest voice in the room. You just need to be the one who sees clearly, acts decisively, and stays in the game. Eyes on the charts, stops set, mindset locked. Whatever Asia delivers tonight, bullish continuation or the flush that resets, we turn it into opportunity. Not emotion, not hope, opportunity. If this breakdown fired you up, sharpened your edge, or reminded you why we do this every single session, do me a solid right now. Smash that like button so the algorithm knows this matters. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next live edge call, and drop a comment below. Tell me the one level or pair you're watching closest tonight. Shanghai silver support, USD JPY pivot, Bitcoin overnight low. Let's see who's locked in. Share it. We ride this together. Stay sharp, stay patient, stay profitable. The Asian Open is coming. Let's make it count. Hallelujah to the disciplined ones. We out.